Welcome to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast, providing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs with the 3 INs: insights, inspirations, and intentional actions. Delivered through monologues and dialogues, we address topics like leadership, productivity, time management, work-life balance, and challenges like stress, conflict, mental health, and much more. Please do not hold back from suggesting specific topics and guests you would like on this podcast. Greetings and welcome to this episode of Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. Today, I want to talk about happiness. Yes, I know it's a very broad term, but stay with me because I want to go deep today with this, much deeper than we in general go with this topic. And it's also in part inspired by the last episode, I think it was episode 41, where I sit down with Mint, a Burmese woman living in Australia. And it keeps coming up in our conversation with different language. So it has inspired me to sit down today and make this episode about happiness. Of course, we're going to link it to mental fitness. This is a mental fitness podcast. So what does happiness have to do with mental fitness? Absolutely nothing. And absolutely everything. I will explain. First of all, happiness in and of itself does not require for us to be mentally fit. And there are 2 ways that I can prove that. We have all, you included, me included, have experienced moments where we are just feeling happy. It is just the way we are in that moment without necessarily being able to point to a reason that we're experiencing that happiness. And it can come out of the blue and come in any situation. It can even come when we are feeling down and out. And suddenly it is just there. And we didn't get to that place of experience that happiness in this situation I'm talking about by using our mental fitness of consciously moving ourselves towards or into that space of happiness. The second proof I have is by looking at babies. So are babies experiencing happiness? And for the sake of this episode, I'm going to claim that they are. And I'm also going to claim that it's their natural state. So when there's nothing wrong, when there's no pain, there's no discomfort for the baby, it is in a state of equilibrium. It is in a state of happiness. And the baby is not mentally fit. It has not yet learned how to use their mind to create anything, including happiness. So when they are experiencing happiness, it comes without them having the mental fitness that they haven't learned to be mentally fit. So what I'm saying in a roundabout way or long-winded way is that happiness, we can experience that regardless of whether we are mentally fit or not in any given moment in time. Now, my other answer is whether mental fitness and happiness, whether have anything to do with each other, was absolutely yes. Because with the higher level of mental fitness we have, remember the definition of mental fitness, or my definition of mental fitness, is the ability to meet challenges in a positive way without the stress, frustration, anger, and worry. In that state, when we are able to create that stillness, meeting that challenge that is in front of us without going into all these loops of frustration and anger and so on, we are able to meet that which is in front of us, whether it's a big challenge or small challenge or anything really. We're able to meet that in a more calm and more present way. And in general, that the word that we would tend to put on that stage would be, oh, I'm happy, I'm at ease. So to create that consciously, we need mental fitness. And the higher our mental fitness is, the more likely we are to create it, and the more often we can create it, and whenever it is there, the longer it will last. So definitely, we have got to work on our mental fitness. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Where are you sitting with this, and like what does happiness mean to you? Now, as I said, I wanted to go deeper. Um, I want to explore the very nature of happiness. Because if we could find out exactly where it is, where it lives, then maybe we have a higher chance of actually, at one level, moving towards it, another level, allowing for it to come to us. In order for that to happen, consciously, we will have to figure something out about this thing called happiness. And as I said at the beginning, happiness sometimes just arrives without there necessarily being a reason, and other times there is a reason. Where does it come from? How does it know to show up? Let's dive in. I'm going to make a claim, and I'm not saying it's a truth. I'm just going to make the claim, and then you can decide for yourself. I'm going to claim that happiness is our natural state. It is our natural state, and we do not need to do anything to experience it. Again, we can come back to the baby. When the baby is in that state of ease, where there is nothing interfering with that, there's no pain, there's no hunger, that there's nothing making the baby uncomfortable at the physical level. Then in that, when you look at that baby, you will see, we can call that a serenity. Yeah. For me, that is our natural happy state, our happy place. And the baby doesn't need to do anything in order for that to be so. It is only when there's something getting in the way that that happiness disappears. And I'm going to claim that it's the same for you and I. Which means that if we want to experience happiness, the only thing we need to do is to find a way of getting in touch with that raw nature of who we truly are. And when we connect with that, in that space, we will experience this thing that for now we call happiness. So there are different levels of happiness, different, say, in intensity. So there's the happiness comes when you're laughing out loud. Like there's just something that cracks you up and makes you laugh. Like there's a feeling of happiness in that. It's a very energetic happiness. It's a very kind of bubbly energy to it. Yes, I'm happy to call that happiness when there is a sense of excitement in that mixture. There is a sense of happiness within that. But now that in and of itself is not our natural state of happiness. Our natural state of happiness is a more serene happiness, It's not the one with a big, huge smile or laughing. It's just this still place. And if you've noticed, if you've chosen anywhere along the way to watch, listen and watch to, shall we say, so-called enlightened human beings, or at least people who, from our understanding, are fairly awakened people, you will see they have one thing in common. They have a calmness about them. And yes, they giggle now and then, and sometimes there might be an outburst of laughter. But you'll also see that there's often this smiling, just this gentle smile. And you feel that there is a stillness about that person. When we can come into that place of stillness, there is an incredible happiness there, a very, very deep happiness that we do not need to create. And I know you know what I'm talking about because I know you have experienced it. My question is, how good are we? How good are you at stepping into that place? Because this is a place we can go to consciously. And the more we go there, the better we get at going there. And the longer we can remain in that place until something happens around us or in our mind starts suddenly worrying about something. And then that happiness is gone just like that. Then how long time does it take us to recognize that and then let go of that mental interference and come back into that place? And I have to say for myself, there is no place on earth that I would rather be than in that place. And it's not an external place. I've had the privilege of traveling to close to 60 countries in this world. And it doesn't matter where I have gone, I always come along, which means that my mental interferences, my patterns, my saboteurs are interfering with my happiness, no matter where I go. The upside for that for me is that I can feel at home almost anywhere. We have moved around. I've moved around a lot, and my wife and I have moved around quite a lot. And it doesn't matter where we have been. I find a way of mentally settling in to wherever I am fairly quickly because there is a realization, a recognition that the happiness, which I do believe we all are seeking all the time, whether we are conscious of it or not, that when we stop looking for that happiness externally, we can find that internally whenever we want, as long as we have the mental fitness to do what we need to do to keep coming back to that place. And then, yes, if we don't like the physical circumstances we're in, we can change that. If we don't like the job situation we're in, we can change that. So it's not about accepting everything that is happening around us. It is about shifting our focus to find that happiness that is there already. And there's a book here that I want to recommend to you. Um, I love the title of this book, and I want to elaborate a little bit more on that. The title is Happy for No Reason. It's written by Marci Shimoff, a New York Times #1 bestseller. It's been out for, I think, um, maybe close to 20 years. I'm not sure. It's been out for a while. A very popular book. And I'll put the link to it or the description and the details in the description below. Happy for no reason. I love that. Because what I just talked about before, that place of natural happiness, it has no reason because it is our natural state. It is how we are born. And therefore, it is available to us whenever we are able to connect with it. And we can wait for it to just arrive, which it will from time to time. Nothing wrong with that. I just want more of it because I love it. So I'll go to great lengths to do what I need to do to keep growing my mental fitness. So I can go to that place more and more often and for longer periods at a time. Now we live in a culture today. Well, let me start that in a different way. Why have we lost that natural happiness that was there from the beginning? Why do we lose that? We do not lose it because we decide to lose it. It's not that when you get to the age of 2 or 3 or 4, you suddenly decide, I'm not interested in happiness any longer. It's not how it works. It is just the length of time we spend in it as a young child and the regularity that we're in it keeps getting reduced because we get conditioned by the world around us, our parents, siblings, and the world around us. And a part of that conditioning allows us, maybe the wrong way of putting it, and it allows us to start experiencing more and more stress, more and more frustration, more and more anger, more and more worry and anxiety. And the more we're experiencing that, the further away we move from that natural happiness that we are. So the main reason that we start losing that bit by bit is generally not overnight, it's bit by bit, is because we are conditioned out of it by the world around us. A world around us that by and large is not happy. That's just the reality. Therefore, to get ourselves back into that place, we have got to work on improving our mental fitness so that we are able to meet the tension that takes place in our minds when we can't sleep or we're worried about stuff or we are upset about stuff. And in those moments, the happiness is just not there. Mental fitness allows us to catch these things faster, and it allows us to move out of it faster, and it allows us to stay out of it for longer. The other part of the conditioning, which to me is really sad, is that we get conditioned very heavily, not only by our parents, but by the entire world around us, particularly by the whole marketing machinery of people wanting to sell us services and products. They are utilizing this And it's not good for us. I'm sorry, it's just not good for us. We have been so heavily from a very young age being conditioned that we need this, and this, and this, and this, and that to be happy. You need to get the right education. You need to have the right job. You need to pick the right career. You need to have a family. You need to have lots of money. You need to have this kind of car. You need to have this kind of mobile phone. You need to have this amount of holidays in these kinds of places. And all of that, in general, cost money. And then we are on that treadmill very, very early on. We might get pocket money from our parents. We might not. We might have to do chores to get pocket money so we can go and buy these things so we can have that ice cream when we want and feel happy about that ice cream. And then we are caught. And then that carries on for most people for the rest of their lives. Sometimes when people get old or really old, they come to realize that all these things actually doesn't really work. And it doesn't really give that happiness that we are longing for, that we have spent decades searching for. I don't want anybody to wait till they get to be really old to figure that out. I, at some level, figured this out, quite a while ago. However, it's an ongoing journey because I'm kind of addicted to that place. I love going to that place as much as I possibly can. So that's the practice. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing stuff and having stuff that makes you feel happy. Eat a nice meal or spend extra time cooking a delicious meal, feel happy about that. Go and have that ice cream and feel happy about that. Get that new car and feel happy about that. Close another major deal and feel happy about that. Create some achievements, some successes in your business, in your career. Feel happy about that. Go on holidays and feel happy about that. Have some fantastic times with your children, whatever way that may look, and be happy about that. Um, Nothing wrong with that. It does come potentially with a problem, though. And one part of the problem is that we get addicted to that happiness because it is a part of our nature. And therefore, we want to get back there. So now we need to book another holiday. Now we need to get time off work. We need to make the money or whatever the situation may be. We need to go get another ice cream to feel happy. But if we need to eat 10 ice creams a day to feel happy 10 times a day, somewhere along the way, you're going to feel really unhappy because you're going to be seriously overweight and not feel good in your body. And then the happiness is gone, and then the ice cream won't work any longer. If you're on a holiday all the time, it won't work. If playing golf makes you happy, if you play golf 8 hours every day in your life, it will stop working after a while. So happy for a reason is not sustainable. Again, go for it. I do a lot of things that helps me feel happy. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't count on it to last and to have the depth that I really want. Because that depth and longevity is not available in happiness for a reason. So therefore, the journey becomes for me about how do I go to that place? And there's a catch here. And the catch is that our natural happiness, we can't bring out consciously. It will appear all by itself when there is nothing in the way. So sitting and meditating and going, I'm happy, I'm going to my happy place, I'm happy, I'm going to my happy place. I mean, nothing wrong with that. That's better than going, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about this, what I'm going to do about that. It's probably better just to go, I'm happy. Oh, I'm going to my happy place. Sure. But you can do that for hours and still not go there. And that's the catch. And when we come to that realization, then we can start answering the question I posed earlier. Where does it live and how do we get to it? I'm going to claim it lives within you and every single human being. It's our birthright. How do we get to it? The way the baby does it. Like it doesn't do it, the baby. But when the baby is not experiencing any discomfort, it is in its happy place, in its natural happy place. So when we're looking at awakened people and they are giving a talk or in a conversation, what we see is a person that is in that space, in that place, because there is nothing interfering with it in their mind. Now, it is very easy for us human beings, again, because of our conditioning, to allow the world around us to take us out of that happiness. We might be driving along, listening to some music and feeling at ease, and we are just in the flow. And then there's this one nitwit that cuts us off. And then, whoa, we get into this reaction. And in that moment, the happiness is just gone. Whoop, puff, just disappeared into nowhere. So it's very easy for most of us human beings to get distracted away from that natural happiness, even when we have found our place to it. It doesn't take very much. It doesn't even take the external world to come and mess it up with a crappy email or a shit phone call or the rain or whatever it may be. We can do it just with our own mind. We suddenly remember, oh, I forgot that. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, how am I going to deal with this stuff tomorrow? And then the happiness just oof, evaporates, just like that. Where does it go? Well, it can't go anywhere because it's our natural state. It is still there 24/7. But most of us are not experiencing 24/7. I'm certainly not. Hmm. But when we know where it is and we understand the nature of it, then we can stop seeking it through the external world. And we can start focusing on removing that which is in the way. And yes, we can remove certain things in our environment. We can go into a more quiet place. We can go up a mountain or down to a river or the ocean or like a sanctuary place. And yes, generally it's easier in those places to experience that. But with a lot of experience, we can actually come to that place pretty much no matter where we are and what situation we are in. So I'm not going to say that I was fortunate to spend 14 days in ICU over Christmas, and I have done an episode on that. Definitely not. But I was able to, being in that environment and in the discomfort and the pain and the undesirable situation, I was able to over and over and over again to let go of those restrictions in my mind. I couldn't pull the things out because that needed to be plugged in for the blood pressure and God knows every these things I was plugged into. But I was able at times to just be with all of that and the discomfort and be in that place of absolute stillness, in that place of total happiness. The happiness for no reason. So the work, one way of putting it, which I'm of course going to say, it's about building your mental fitness, because the more mentally fit you are, the more mentally strong you are, the better you are at handling and managing your own states, your own mental states, and handling anything coming from the external world, any pressures that comes in there, and particularly if you're in a situation of business, as a business leader, a business owner, there's pressure from absolutely everywhere. The more mentally fit we are, the better we are at meeting that and then coming back home, back to that natural happiness that I'm going to claim that is our natural place, the place we are born into. And of course, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Pop some comments in down below of your experience of happiness, particularly experience of the difference between, because we've all experienced it, you included, of the happiness that we are experiencing because of something we achieved, something we was given to us, or something really nice happening. And then that happiness that is just there, and we can't put a finger on it. We can't say that happiness is there because it's just there. It's such a beautiful place. And the final thought on this for today is, I could be wrong here. I'm happy for you to prove me wrong. But I'm going to claim that we are all looking for that happiness. And everything we do, everything we choose to do, we do because we believe it is going to make us happier. Getting divorced, getting married again, getting a new job, getting a nicer car, going to the gym, exercising, eating healthy food, hanging out with friends, going swimming, going on holidays, replying to emails, growing a business, dealing with conflict. Everything we do because we believe it's going to make us happier. And we all know it doesn't work like that. Some things we do will not make us happier. And some things do make us happier. But the motivation behind our actions is always towards happiness. Why? For me, it's just another way of proving that what I'm saying, I believe, is accurate. That it is our natural state and our nature, our being, is hungering for it all the time, and it will push us towards that experience as much as it possibly can. The shift I think we need to make is stop doing all these things to get to that happiness and spend more time just being happiness, and then go and do what needs doing. So we are not doing a business to be happy or to create the freedom so we can do what we want and be happy. We come to a place where we are already happy, and then we do business. Then we exercise. Then we look after our health. Then we spend time with the children and the family, our partners. Not to become happy, but because we are already happy. That is a completely different driver and a completely different approach than the one we have been conditioned as human beings to take through endless conditioning and marketing. Let me know your thoughts. And I want to finish off today as per usual. Always look out for ways to grow your mental fitness. Till next time. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. If you have stories of how mental fitness has benefited you that you are happy to share, go to my website, mikal.nz, click on podcast and fill in the guest application form. If you want direct support from me utilizing my 40 years of mental fitness learning and practice, email me at coach@mikal.nz or message me on LinkedIn. Any feedback, review, share, follow, like, or any other good stuff is, of course, appreciated. Thank you for listening to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast. I'm your host, Mikal Nielsen.